In this video, I'm going to tell you about one of the greatest wealth hacks that real estate investors use to get rich and avoid paying taxes legally. But before we get started, if you haven't done so already, please smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. We put out weekly content on how to get wealthy in real estate and keep you up to date on the housing market and trends in your area. So you might be asking, how do rich people use real estate to get rich and not pay taxes and not go to jail because it's legal? In one sentence, the way you do this is the magic of the cash out refinance, or cash out refi for short. So first off, before we talk about how to do a cash out refinance, let's talk about what a cash out refi is. Now, when you buy a property, the amount of your down payment is essentially what determines the amount of equity you'll have in your property the day that you purchase it. However, let's say that 5 or 10 years go by. Well, during that time, your property is going to go up in value. That's a fact. Now, along the way, there might be downtrends and uptrends, but over a 10-year or longer period, your real estate purchases will almost always be worth more than what you bought it for. And in addition to being worth more, you will have also paid down the loan over the course of those 10 years. And because your property is now worth more and you've also paid down the loan on a consistent basis, you'll be in a position where you have equity in the property. Now, what is equity? Equity is the difference between the amount of money you owe on your mortgage and the value of the property. So let's say you owe $100,000 on a property that you put no money down on when you first bought it. But after fast forward 10 years, that property is now worth $200,000. Well, in this instance, you would have well over $100,000 in equity in the property because the property is worth more. And at the same time, you also paid down the balance of the mortgage that you took out when you bought the property 10 years ago. And the way you access that money, the equity in your property, without selling the property is by taking a loan against it. And the process of doing this loan is called a cash out refinance. And the way it works is this. Let's say in the above instance, you owe $50,000 on your property and it is now worth $200,000. In this instance, you have $150,000 of equity in the property. What you would do is apply for a new loan with the bank, and the bank will give you a loan of up to 80% of the property's value. The way that this works is an appraiser looks at the property to determine its value, and then the bank would loan you up to 80% of that value. So in this instance, you would be able to get a new loan for $160,000. And because you only owe $50,000, what happens is the new loan pays off the old $50,000, and you're left with a new loan for $160,000, and you get the difference between the old loan and the new loan, which in this instance is $110,000. And if you didn't understand that concept, because I know it was a lot to understand, just rewind the video, I won't be offended, and watch that section again until you understand it. And if you're having a hard time, just follow along with a pen and a piece of paper and it will start to make sense. The whole point is that the reason you are getting $110,000 from the bank is because the bank is giving you a new loan on the property and paying off the old loan. And as a result, you get the cash difference between those two loans. And the reason this is brilliant is because you don't have to pay taxes. And the reason you don't have to pay taxes on that money is because it's not income, it's just a loan. And I'll say that again because it's the key to this whole thing and what makes it so brilliant. That money is not taxable because it is not income, it is a loan. And you don't pay taxes on loans because it's not income, it's a loan. And the reason I point it out is because it's one of the things that we are unfortunately groomed from a very early age is to think that debt is bad or scary or debt should be avoided. And the truth is you're only scared of debt if you don't understand it, because once you understand it, you will start to love debt because you will realize that it is the key to wealth, provided it is the right kind of debt. So to make sure that you get the right kind of debt and don't find yourself in a sticky situation, make sure you're subscribed to the channel so that you can stay up to date on how to get wealthy in real estate and the latest in housing market trends. And watch this next video where I talk about long-term versus short-term debt and how to use them appropriately so that you can use them to make money and not lose money.